My rich grandpa asked at dinner about my trust fund email, and I admitted no one told me. My name is Evan Thornton, and growing up, my grandfather, Charles Thornton, had always loomed large in my life. Wealthy, meticulous, and notoriously blunt, he had a way of making everyone feel either impressive or insignificant in a single glance. I had always assumed that one day, his fortune would extend to me in some form, a trust fund, an inheritance, a legacy, but no one had ever explained the details. That Saturday evening, our family gathered at his mansion for dinner. The house smelled faintly of roasted vegetables and polished wood. I arrived a little late, carrying a bottle of wine as a polite gesture. My parents, Linda and Greg, greeted me warmly, and my siblings were already seated, chatting. Grandpa Charles held court at the head of the table, a figure of authority even in casual clothes. Dinner began as usual, with small talk about work, travel, and the weather. Then, midway through the main course, he leaned back, narrowed his eyes at me, and asked, "Evan, have you checked the trust fund email I sent?" I froze. The question caught me off guard. Email," I said, trying to sound casual. "Yes," he said, voice sharp. "The one detailing the account, the conditions, everything. Have you read it?" I hesitated, then admitted truthfully, "No. I didn't even know there was an email. No one told me." There was a moment of silence. Forks paused mid-air. My parents exchanged uneasy glances. My siblings looked mildly surprised but amused. Grandpa Charles's eyes narrowed, and for a second, I thought he might scold me. "Not told you," he repeated slowly. "By whom?" "By everyone, sir," I replied. "I didn't receive it, and no one mentioned it to me until just now." He sat quietly for a moment, staring at me. Then, without raising his voice, he said, "Well, that's irresponsible on all sides. Not yours entirely, but still. You need to know what you're entitled to, and it seems we've all failed you there." My stomach twisted. I felt a mix of embarrassment and relief, embarrassed that I hadn't been informed earlier, but relieved that he wasn't angry at me personally. After a few more minutes of tense silence, he leaned back and spoke again, his tone softening slightly. "I'll forward the email to you properly tonight. It contains the conditions of the trust, the investment strategies, and the timelines. You'll have full access once you acknowledge it." "Thank you, sir," I said quietly, feeling the tension in my chest ease. Dinner continued, but I remained quiet, observing the interactions around me. I realized that even in wealthy families, miscommunication and assumptions can create misunderstandings just as painful as financial inequality. Later that night, I received the email. It was long and detailed, outlining the trust fund structure, my rights as a beneficiary, and the steps I needed to take to access it. I read it carefully, making notes. It wasn't a free pass. The trust had clear conditions and expectations, but it was a step toward financial independence and acknowledgement from the family patriarch. The next morning, I called Grandpa Charles. "I received the email," I said. "Thank you for clarifying everything. I appreciate it." "Good," he said gruffly. "Just make sure you keep track of these things yourself. Trust me, no one will manage your future as carefully as you can." I hung up, feeling a mixture of empowerment and responsibility. It dawned on me that wealth, guidance, and opportunity are meaningful only when paired with personal accountability. I couldn't rely entirely on my family to inform me or protect me. I had to take initiative. By the end of that weekend, I had scheduled a meeting with the family's financial advisor, organized my documents, and created a plan for managing the trust fund responsibly. I felt a sense of control I hadn't experienced before, not because of the money, but because I had finally taken ownership of my future. That dinner had begun with surprise and embarrassment, but it ended with clarity and direction. I realized that communication, honest, direct, and timely, matters as much in families as it does in business. And sometimes, admitting you don't know something is the first step toward gaining the knowledge and independence you need. For the first time in a long while, I felt ready to step into my own life, fully informed, fully responsible, and fully aware of the trust my grandfather had placed in me.